Okay, I think we'll get started. There's quite a few people joined now. So, yeah, like I say, welcome to today's webinar where we are looking to cover SharePoint. So the goal of today is to try and give everyone that's on the call just an overview, certainly of SharePoint, but also something to go away with that might help on in day-to-day sort of use of SharePoint and hopefully try and sort of excel your days and make sure that you're using SharePoint the right way. What I would say is that there is a Q&A on the webinar here. It will be active throughout the session, but I would just advise just to try and see if we can leave any questions just to the end of my kind of demo and things here. It's just that they will cover quite a lot of things, and a lot of the questions may well be answered as we kind of go through stuff there. So yeah, I mean, what we'll do is we'll just go through the overview then. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at things like the SharePoint sites themselves. We're going to look at different types of libraries that can be used within SharePoint, and libraries are areas where we can store different types of files and folders. Documents, pictures, media, and there's different types of libraries, which again I'll show you as we go through. Sharing, the obvious thing for SharePoint, how we collaborate with files and share with external partners or internal colleagues. The permission side of things, I'll kind of run through that briefly. There is certain permissions as such that people will require high-end admin or owner rights to the SharePoint site to be able to manage and edit permissions. So I will show you that if that's the ability that you have on SharePoint just now. Syncing with OneDrive is quite a big benefit that we use a lot in Grant McGregor, and we can try and promote that as much as possible. It just is a bit more of a streamlined way of working, and it kind of just, I think, saves you having to have multiple windows open or multiple tabs open for different sort of workflows. You can work directly from your desktop, and everything's kind of synced back up into SharePoint that way. The big interaction with Teams at the moment that Microsoft are certainly pushing for, I'll sort of talk about that and some things just to note and keep an eye out for. And then I'll kind of wrap up with looking at or just really covering storage sizes, i.e. the maximum storage size within SharePoint and what you kind of get out of the box, and how this can be increased if you need more storage going forward, and version in there as well. So that's going to be more to do with different versions of files that I can show you live and actually demonstrate when we're making version changes, how we recall these, you know, and how we kind of manage them in terms of our storage as well, so that we're not having multiple versions of a particular file when it's not needed. So the way I'm going to do this is, and the way I'm going to kind of demonstrate this is I'm going to just do like a live demo. I have a test SharePoint site that I'll go through, and I'll just kind of walk through a number of these things, and just kind of show everyone what we can do from there. So I just wanted to finish with this slide before we get started though, and this is the kind of main uses that SharePoint is kind of utilized for in the business at the moment. And a lot of people will be kind of using SharePoint for different needs and different they may be using it for just one particular task, or there may be maybe the whole company sort of data and communication is on SharePoint. So you'll see there that the team sites and communication sites is the one place you would start. So when you come into SharePoint, right out the box, like I said, you will need to create one of a team site or a communication site, depending on your needs. And like I said, what you require from SharePoint will decide on which one you go for. As it explains there, a team site is your kind of normal go-to site. This allows you to, like say, it says there, collaborate on projects, share documents, and communicate effectively. So that's one that most people will be familiar with using daily at the moment. Communication sites are essentially like an internal news page, so an intranet page for the company, or some kind of news updates or something that you want to get out there. So it's not actively managed. It's not really designed to be used in a way of pulling documents or saving documents to, but it's very useful and quite powerful in terms of a landing page for companies that can be set up and designed in loads of different ways. Document libraries I'll cover just in a minute, as we'll kind of start on that when we go through our demo. Lists is another one that, similar to document libraries, you don't want, if you just wanted to display an actual Excel sheet or a list of names or a poll or something like that, this can be kept separate, and it can be kind of integrated into your landing pages as well, which I'll show you just in a few minutes. Yeah, workflows as well. So what this is that there'll be automate business processes, as it says there, and we've built in workflows for approvals, onboarding, and more. So this kind of runs in the background there. So you won't see that in terms of or needing to manage that on a daily basis, but it's just to give you an overview really of how that kind of integrates with the SharePoint backend really. And then really the integration itself, what SharePoint's designed to do, like every other Microsoft application, is to kind of seamlessly integrate with everything else. So as we talked about Teams, Microsoft Forms, Power BI, these are all very common sort of integration apps with SharePoint. But obviously all the other apps have some way of linking back there. So, like I say, that kind of covers really your main sort of day-to-day uses of SharePoint. What we'll do is we'll jump into our SharePoint site now and have a quick look. So this is a blank SharePoint test site that I've just created. Haven't really edited anything other than taking off the kind of template area that when you first create a site, and this is a team site, I should sort of state, you will have various what they call web parts designated around the main part of the screen here. Just things that Microsoft think you might want to utilize, like news or links to areas down the left here or weather or anything. So I've just kind of cleared it just so we can have a blank canvas to play with here. But yeah, so I think what we'll do is we'll kind of start with how we make this page look a little bit more tailored to what you're trying to do. So top right hand corner here, we've got edit. If you click on this, what this brings you into is sort of what they call is what I was referred to before is web part. So if you highlight over that, it says add a new web part in column 1. So you can separate these columns into various parts. So if we click on add a web part, you can see all the various things that we can add here to customize this landing page. Everything to do with what's in our SharePoint at the moment, anything to do with if we want an image gallery, if we want links to YouTube for certain videos, quick links. Yeah, so there's loads of different things, countdown timers, weather, world clocks, and things like that. So yeah, there's lots of things that we can use here. So if I just sort of give a demonstration of the world clock here, and then we want to add another web part for, yeah, we could do a countdown timer. We could just do end of session. You can add a description in there, and then obviously you can edit the web part from here, and then you can select obviously when you want that to count down for and various things. So it's a little bit like, you know, I suppose kind of customizing your, I don't know, your tablet or your phone's sort of home page, and it's very similar in that sense. Like I say, you've got your edit parts on a lot of this, and then you can obviously move things about to the different areas of, yeah. So you can move things about. Yeah. So if we can add a new section, actually, we can move things about into the different sections, and have it sort of looking a bit like that. So if I added in something else here, we maybe want to put our document library in here, so it's just visible for that. And then, yeah, I think that'll do for now. So if we just, like I say, given just a quick overview of like things you can do, there's multiple things that can be changed within here, and kind of moved about and edited. So yeah, I would recommend sort of playing with that, or if you've got access to come in here and design the page just to look a little bit brighter, then you can. Another thing that I quite like is that you can, a lot of people would do this, and have some kind of image. So if you had an image gallery, you can then kind of publish your company's title there or logo or anything like that within here, and then that kind of just nicely integrates everything and pushes everything around. So I will say I'm not a designer, so yeah, I mean, like, be creative with it. You can add as much as you like, and it just kind of opens it up a little bit more. And I think as well was that I was talking about the communication site. If this area here can be utilised efficiently, then there might not be a need for another communication site. You may be able to get all your news and communication across just on this one landing page here, and it would just, like I say, allow you to manage everything in one place. So if I go at the top right hand corner here and just republish that, yeah. So you'll see here, like I say, the way I've kind of structured it with the columns there, but you get the idea of the world clock sort of being in there. I've got like the countdown timer. Obviously, I've got nothing in my document library yet in terms of content or anything, but then if that was showing the files, it would show there just down the bottom. I just want to actually see. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to click on that. Yeah, so you'll see it like that. So obviously that's just a quick link to the left-hand side here, and then I can start to see my files and things like that. So that kind of covers your landing page, I suppose, of a Teams site in SharePoint there, really. The other things that you can do from here, well, we're on the sort of the same sort of talking of customization. If you click on the sort of cog in the top right hand corner there, you can change the look of the general look of the site as well. So if I go into theme, I can change this to, let's go for the dark yellow. That's a bit hard to look at. Yeah, so yeah, you can see certain areas of the page will change as you kind of navigate through. You will find that if I save that one, if you come back into here, yeah, so you can customize it there as well. So you can change obviously the colors through on the theme as well, but this will just be how you interact through the certain sections and what kind of color your main sort of banner at the top here is. You also have the option to change like the header as well. So you can have this really minimal, you can have it like a standard, extended. You can also have the theme of the background at the back at the top there. So you can kind of change that out too. As I said before, you can upload an image there as well. So you can have an image running from the top too. You can change the logo. So you can have a logo of your, say, company or your SharePoint within there. And then you can also change the site logo thumbnail. So what that is that I can't go back on this page just in terms of permissions I've got, but if you had multiple SharePoint sites that you could sort of click into, this one's called webinar. If you had another one, another one for company data or whatever it be, you can change the thumbnail for that so that obviously you've got images for each of the SharePoint sites there as well. So yeah, there's multiple things that you can change the layout and things within here too. But I really just wanted to quickly cover that because that's really more of a personal sort of choice, I suppose. But that's exactly where it lives. Navigation as well. You can have. You might find that you're used to maybe SharePoint sites that run the navigation through the top there. Some people prefer it. Or like I say, when it comes out the box again, it just comes as a vertical view. So yeah, you can change that as well. And there's ways to turn off the navigation for whatever reason you need to do that too. But that's just, again, like I say, in the cog there, change the look. And every SharePoint site will have that option to do. So yeah, like I said, if you've got a SharePoint site currently active, maybe have a play about with these options and the edit field here as well for the landing. So what I wanted to more concentrate on is what we would be utilizing this SharePoint site for. So use an example here for, say, we have multiple documents that we want to store and share within SharePoint that currently reside within an on-premise environment, i.e. on a standalone machine in an office or on a server somewhere, and we want to just move that into the cloud. So yeah, so there's various ways we can do this, and it depends on the content that you want to kind of use or upload, should I say. And what you'll see down the left here is I have a documents section. Now, this is my document library that's just been created for me. Now, all the thing I've put in here is a test Word document. I haven't put anything else in there. This is just what Microsoft give you from out the box here. Again, as well, you'll see this general folder that's being created for me. I'll explain that as I get further down the demo here. But what we want to discuss is how do we create our own document library. So really easy, just from the top here, you've got new and you've got document library. And then it brings up this sort of wizard that you can start to utilize. So you can create a blank library and it will just create exactly like my one there. Or you can use one of the templates that that Microsoft kind of give you. So as I was saying before, if what you're going to be utilizing is like media, then, i.e. pictures, videos, things like that, if that's going to be the main purpose of the document library, then you might want to utilize that, side of the document library, because it essentially does the same thing, but it just gives you more views and columns and ways to interact with the data a bit more the way it would think you would want to. So you'll see the differences that if I click on like invoices, it will just be completely different sort of setups that it kind of helps you with. And yeah, obviously Microsoft have designed this in a way that it's going to be customization. So you can be customizing these, but if you really just simply wanted a media library and you just wanted like your pictures and videos that displayed in there, then yeah, you can just use the template, upload your files, and away you go. And that's the way that they've done it. So yeah, so I mean the blank libraries, maybe a good place to start if you've got kind of a mix of data, I would say. You've got, a number of Excel sheets, documents, PDFs, just general documents, a couple of pictures and videos and stuff. And like I said, it'll just display it in a different way, that's all. So you'll have it within here, it'll display like this. And like I said, you can customize these, so you can add columns in if you want, to show this, to show it a bit differently. So um, yeah, so you can add various different columns in for yourself, and you can just sort of see, um, you know, manage that out as you kind of grow the document library itself. But yeah, so I think what you want to really know, I suppose, is that how we manage this, how we manage these files and folders within SharePoint. Now, the really good thing about obviously it being a Microsoft product is that drag and drop's in play here, and that's a big thing that they're trying to again push for with Windows 11. So there's a good interaction that you can have, that you can just drag files in. So if I just quickly go back to my desktop here. Yeah, so I've got a SharePoint folder, a test folder that I kind of created. So if I just drag that in there, you'll see it's uploading, and then it's just basically dropped it within there for us. So you can do it that way. You can then click on Files folder, and you can upload it that way for individual files too. But it's just a nice way of kind of again, like interacting with the file explorer again in a way that people are used to. The maximum limits that you can basically upload for an individual file is 250 gigs. So that is for an individual file or folder. So if you try and obviously upload anything that's bigger than that, you will get an error, and it'll tell you to kind of split things up, and kind of upload them separately. So yeah, just a quick point just to note that anything over 250 gig, you'll need to, like I say, manage that and upload that slightly differently. For lists and things like that, which I'll come on to, the limit isn't as big as that, but lists shouldn't be really much bigger than what they advertise. So for, like I say, a maximum upload of 250 megabytes, that's not a lot, you might think, but like I said, a list shouldn't really be much bigger than that anyway. So yeah, so I mean, obviously, I think this is your document library. This is where, like I said, most things are going to be utilized from, in the area that you're going to be kind of utilizing the most, I would say. The other thing that you can also create is what I alluded to earlier, was a list. So instead of a document library, I can create a list. Again, it gives you multiple templates for the kind of list you're trying to create. You can click on one of these, use the template, for what your needs are. So yeah, let's create maybe, let me see, let's create this one. Okay, so we'll just create it as such with that. Okay, and then what you'll see is, I'll close that off for now. You'll see this has just created this down the left-hand side here. So this is my list, and obviously this is my document library up here. It doesn't differentiate on the side here which ones are which, but obviously when you're clicking into them, you can clearly see the difference from it. And yeah, like I say, you can certainly rename these to signify obviously what what they are and what they're utilized for. What I wanted to also show you from the lists as well, just so I remember, is that when we go into list, you can see here we can do it from an Excel or from a CSV. So that's kind of, again, very powerful, is that if you have a pre-populated Excel sheet that you just want to literally dump on here and have it in a sort of viewable format, such in the Excel sheet will just display here, then yeah, you can do that too. Now, again, when we're going back to the customization of the landing screen here again, now that I've got a kind of list in action here, I suppose I don't really have anything on it, but let me just populate some data into it. Okay, so just trying to see, yeah, so just want to put some data within here just so that we can see it in the display. Much like I said, it will display like the documents here, but if you can imagine, or kind of trying to imagine if you had business data within here, then yeah, you could be adding it within the landing page too. So let me just add under a document library and looking for list, and there's a recruitment tracker there. So if we republish that now, yeah, so you get the idea. So you can have sort of things like that, that's active lists or polls or anything like that, you know, as you kind of first hit the first part of the SharePoint site there. So I suppose what we want to maybe just dive into now is quickly look at the sharing side of things, I suppose, of SharePoint. So if we're managing, we're staying within the actual web view of SharePoint here. If you hover over the folder or file as such here, you'll have the little share icon, just the little box with the arrow coming out of there. If you click on that, opens up a window like this, and then we can start to utilize where we want to share that to. So you would type the email address within there, or person if it's an internal colleague you're trying to share this with, and just type their name. Click on the right hand side here, and then you can just give them permissions of what you want them to be able to do. So if you want them just to see it, edit, they can't download it, whatever you feel that the necessary needs are there, and then just maybe add a quick message in here as well. You can also copy the link too. It just copies it into your clipboard, and then you can just sort of share that in a different way. The other thing as well is if you click on the settings here, this opens up the ability for what people can see. So if you have shared that file, if you've shared that file or folder and you click on the cog here, then it means, so you can see how it's, I've got it for people in people in Grant McGregor, or people with existing access, or just people that you choose. So if you are wanting this to be sent out to just existing colleagues, you can click on that there, and then that will change the setting view of the actual view of that file or folder. So you can say you can select it from up here too, but this is just an additional sort of security measure that you can, you know, obviously share that link with if you're copying it from here. So you can obviously choose through this area how you want that to view, by copying that link, and it's all integrated into the link. So however, when you choose this, apply it, the link will change obviously in the background. So but yeah, so that's how you would share a file or folder from the web view there. Now, what you can do also is, I'm just looking to see if I have. No, okay. Yeah, I can't see it from this point here, but when you share when you go to share the actual file with someone, you will have the ability to set like or there will be a default expiry on the file as well, that you can set. So you can share it for like, you know, 1 day person, and then it will expire. The link won't work then on after. So yeah, you can customize the sharing side of things quite a bit. And then even drilling it further down, if you wanted to completely disable, say, maybe external sharing from the company, that a lot of people may require, you know, they don't want any company documents leaving the business, you can do that, but what you will need is full administrator rights and rights to the SharePoint admin portal. And then it allows you to sort of customize things a little bit more globally. That allows you to disable external sharing or enable downloads or disable downloads. So you just basically people won't have that facility. They'll only have what the admin sets. So there is further back end customization on that too. How are we doing for time? So yeah, so I think looking at that also, I was talking about permissions. Again, this will be very varied to what you are set as a user on SharePoint. So if it's a case where you're an admin of a SharePoint site or an owner of a SharePoint site, obviously you will have a lot more ability to manage permissions. If you click on the top cog at the top here, and then go into, well, if I go into the site permissions here, straight away you'll see that, full control, site members and site visitors. So full control is the owners of this site, which will be me. And like, again, this is all set on the creation of the SharePoint site on the back end. So obviously, if you're creating a SharePoint site for someone and you make them the owner, then yeah, essentially it does what it says in the tin. They will be able to manage pretty much everything within that particular SharePoint site. Members, again, like you'll see here, you can control what they have access to, and really members is people that you are inviting to the SharePoint site, or people that have kind of came in and asked to join the site. So you can kind of set up groups to allow them to get full control, read control, edit control, and things like that. There is more advanced options here, but again, this will be very tailored to what you are doing in the environment, and it will be, again, admin and owner only use within here. But you can certainly create different groups, and then you can tie them to. So if I just create another test here, and we say we just want to contribute. Yeah, so you see it's added me directly within to that group there. So if I just kind of go back to the top level there, some navigation here again. You just have to wait for just a little minute for it to come back appearing. There we are. So if you go into here, not that one. Site permissions, advanced permission settings, and you'll see my test group within there. So really what I can do, and again, like I say, that I can explain this more in probably a further session with kind of, I suppose, SharePoint administration. This kind of falls under, but I can use this this group to add multiple people into, and then I can tie that group to my document library, for example. So that's how us here at Grant McGregor would normally give permissions to different people, different document libraries, for example, or different list views or whatever, as we create a separate group, and then we tie that group to the document library, meaning they can do what the group says, either edit, contribute, view, and so forth. So yeah, like I say, that probably is more covered under a kind of more SharePoint administration thing. So if you are interested in that, or if you want to know more about that, I can certainly do some one-to-one sessions, or just reach out to me on email, and I can arrange a Teams call with you and go through things on your live SharePoint site with you to help you with that. So this brings us on to really syncing this with everything else. So really what we want to kind of promote, I suppose, and again what Microsoft are trying to promote, is this syncing of your SharePoint library your document libraries and things to your file explorer. So at the top right, if I'm in my document library still here, you'll see I've got the sync option just at the top here. And if I click on that, what it will say is it will pop up saying this site is trying to open Microsoft OneDrive. So that's correct. So what that sync button does is it will basically interact with your OneDrive stored on your PC or your Mac, and it basically just wants to interact with that to do the task or do the job that it's wanting to utilize here. So if I just click on open here, it'll go off and do its thing. So it says we're syncing your files. So you'll see in the blue icon, cloud icon down my bottom right hand corner here, there's nothing much in this document library, so that ran through really quite quick, but you will have seen that these sort of things have synced into my document library. And if I go into my file explorer now, drag this over for you, you will see that under this Grant McGregor company illustrated sort of icon here, you'll see that I now have a webinar documents, which basically call it, really just sort of marries up what we've got here as well. So now I can, now that I've got that link basically between the web and my file explorer, I can edit stuff within here. We can delete stuff within here. We can upload things directly from dragging and dropping stuff into here. So yeah, so it's probably just a way of kind of streamlining your workflow. Some people still prefer just using the web view, but like I say, as the move into sort of Windows 11 and integration with that, I think they are trying to make it as easy as possible for people to just have like almost like a shortcut for your SharePoint here. So yeah, the difference is that you will find now that once that's in my area here on File Explorer, is you'll see these statuses, these status icons that appear here. So basically, these three status icons against these ones here are simply showing that they're online only files. So, for example, if I lost access to the internet in some way, then their files wouldn't be readily available. Now, if I click into this document here, you'll see here, if I minimize that, it's syncing back. But you'll see once it's probably because it's open still, but once I close that, sorry. Still syncing back up. And that's basically what that icon means. It's kind of syncing back with the server. But you might have seen it just as I opened the file. You get an icon that will change to a small sort of green tick, like a white background with a green tick inside it. And that essentially means even if you hover over this icon document as well, you can see it now is available on this device. So when we start accessing things, or clicking into things, then we'll start then getting access to it locally, i.e. on the device itself, rather than relying on it pulling from the web in that sense. The other way you can manually interact with this is if you right click on a document. Now you see it's changed now to there. If you right click on a document or folder, you can actually just do a manual always keep on this device. So if I click on that, it will change more to a sort of green background with a white tick inside it. It means that wherever I go, whatever I do, I've got full access to all the files and properties of that folder and files inside it. So this is very good if people are traveling or just want to really they don't have an active connection. You want to kind of make sure that what you're wanting to work with is always keep on this device. Now, obviously, if you're working offline and you're making edits and things for documents, the minute you start obviously get connection back, via Wi-Fi or internet, it will just upload the changes back into SharePoint. But if you're simply working solely offline at that point, you can do so. You'll have access to the files and folders that way. So yeah, so that covers kind of the OneDrive sort of syncing and sharing there. I mean, obviously you'll see the difference between um, my personal OneDrive is somewhere here. So it's like the little cloud icon, and you'll see the company icon for my syncing. So that basically initialized that is shown in a sort of little building indicator icon. And obviously that's where you would find it. So that's how it separates out between your personal OneDrive area and then your company or SharePoint area for that. Going to quickly run through Teams. I'm aware that I've probably spoke quite a bit here, but I'm going to run through Teams quickly just to show you how it interacts with Teams SharePoint. And then I'll quickly cover off some of the SharePoint storage limits, and then I'll open it up for some questions. So with Teams, you will find, and a lot of people may already be interacting in this way, is that once you first create a SharePoint site, you'll have an option down the bottom left-hand corner here. I've already done it. Bottom down the left-hand corner saying, I think it's add live Teams communication or something, or add Teams chat. So basically, all it really means is interact with Teams. So you'll see that the little Teams icon's at the top there. But prior to me clicking on that sort of link, this was just a on the web SharePoint site and no interaction with my Teams in any way. So now that I've got that kind of linked with my Teams, if I go into basically Teams and then go Teams on the left-hand side, go into your Teams, then it will just automatically show. So it will show in this view like this. So if I minimize that, what we've got here is, so the way to look at this is the webinar as the top level here is your site. So any site that you create will create a Microsoft team if you obviously create that link with it. So you can have multiple sites showing down here. And then within that site, you will have your, like I say, your document libraries and so forth. So if I click on documents here, you'll see the link that I've got there. Now, I think because I haven't, yeah. So you'll see here I've got the general one within there, and then that webinar SharePoint folder that I've created within this. Now the difference is here is that obviously I would need to sync this back up again. So likelihood I'd need to close Teams and reopen it, and then it would actually sync back up and show me all the available files and folders here. Obviously, I don't want to do that with us running this call, but yeah, so you will basically have a live view of what you're uploading and downloading from SharePoint into Teams. You will find as well that this general folder, like I said, that's been created, has, like I said, been created when this document library has been linked with Teams. So it creates like its own, and what these are called is channels. So if I click on Eclipses here and click on Add Channel, I can just give it all of this one. So just going to test again. And then you'll have a channel type. Now, just for testing purposes, I'm just going to select standard. I'll explain the other ones just in a sec, but if I just create that now, now you'll see that's just populated within there. Now, if I go back to my document library, it should start to, yeah, so you see that appears straight away. So I can do the sync that way just now, and it works, like I say, the same the other way also. I just need to restart Teams for it to pull through. But yeah, so if we're creating channels within here, essentially what we're doing is creating folders within our document library. Now we can also just do you know, uploads of files and folders from here too. So you can kind of interact with it that way, and it will post it back into SharePoint too. The one thing to note here is that there's two different sections here. So you've got a general and you've got in channels and in site library. Now, just quickly, what this is that this in channels is referring to Teams. So this means that you have created a folder, or you've created a channel, should I say, within Teams, itself, and it has some kind of link fit. So I'll show you just an example here quickly. So if I add a channel, I just put C for this one, and then just go private. I just want to show you the difference with this. So it'll create it within here. Let's skip that for the moment. You have the little padlock symbol next to it here. But what you'll find is it won't create it within the in-site library, which is the SharePoint site, but it will create with it in Teams and in channels library there. So this is a way of another added way of kind of managing the way that people access files. So if this wanted to be a shared channel that would just with certain people, but not with the whole SharePoint site, for example, then yeah, you can basically create private channels that still store in SharePoint, because what I should note at this point is that any file that you're uploading or interacting with in this area inevitably needs to live within SharePoint. It doesn't live within Teams. It doesn't doesn't have its own storage capacity. It is all linking back to SharePoint. So yeah, so it's an added way of it showing, basically locking down areas for people privately within there. So if you ever see this in channels, in-site library, that's essentially what it means. It means that a channel essentially has been created solely for the use within from locally within Teams, and it's been shared with particular people. It's not for global use of the SharePoint site within there. So yeah, so that's a question that sometimes comes up quite a bit as well. So quickly, yeah, I mean, I don't have visuals for this one, but certainly for storage, what I should say is that SharePoint itself, when it's initially licensed, and you have obviously the admin rights and things for a license for SharePoint, it comes with a 1 terabyte storage capacity for all your files, or for all SharePoint images, documents, just absolutely everything that you can think of. It does take a bit of the storage off. This can be increased. The easiest way of increasing this is essentially by users. So each user that's added to a Microsoft tenancy and licensed efficiently with premium standard Microsoft licenses, it adds on, I think it's a 10 gigabyte allowance to the SharePoint overall capacity. So yeah, like I said, if you've got multiple users on site, then it should obviously then equate to more SharePoint usage overall. You also can buy add-ons, individual add-ons to SharePoint storage as well through the Microsoft Store, or through your partners or our partners that we can get to add on for you. But yeah, I mean the storage itself, 1 terabyte should be sufficient enough for most cases. And again, going back to what I was saying before, we should mainly utilize this for mainly documents. Probably, yeah, documents is the main use really here. You can upload obviously images, files, videos, and things like that, but as you can imagine, that's when it will start eating into your storage limit, and you might want to think of a different storage solution for some of the bigger files, as your storage is out there, or some kind of external NAS storage, or some kind of other storage outside SharePoint, so that it's not kind of mixing with your day-to-day company documents and things, that and leaving the storage for them. So yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I've run over a little bit there. I think it was targeted for kind of a 45-minute session here, but really, yeah, I mean, if you do have any questions, like I said, if you pop them into the chat, equally, like I say, you'll have my direct link on email there. that you can just drop me an email, and I can spend one-to-one with you on this as well. The one thing I did want to point out is a very useful page that, not just for SharePoint, but certainly for all Office sort of interactions, I suppose, is this Office cheat sheets. So if you literally just go into Google, type in Office cheat sheet, this will be the first search result that will come up. And yeah, I would just save it and bookmark it. It's very useful, and it does have SharePoint on here. So if we look at the SharePoint PDF that it gives you there, really useful, very visual, kind of just simply pointing out sort of things that we've went through today, but then obviously just quick sort of tips that people can use and just kind of refer back to. So that's a really good one to use, and it's like I say, it's got lots of links to various other things as well. Excel, OneDrive, and even just how to interact with Outlook and Windows Mail in general. So yeah, definitely a good one to keep note of. Just looking at some of the questions here. Yeah, so someone's asking there is if when creating a landing page, is this your own personal landing page, i.e. would this be only in your view, or would this be company-wide? No, so this would be company-wide. So what you're doing by editing this page, and again, this will be down to your permissions, and if you are an owner and being allowed to edit the page, is that you're basically editing this page for the company-wide. So yeah, you would want to set it up. The communication site, I think, it gives you a view on here, I think. Yeah, so if you kind of see it here on the cheat sheet here, you'll see that this is like the main SharePoint landing area. So you'll see here that these sort of three at the top are kind of examples of communication sites. You see the difference between maybe at the bottom here, we have our kind of team sites. That's how they normally would display differently. And the communication sites you can clearly see are utilised for spreading company news, sharing information. So if you feel, yeah, you're talking about a proper maybe landing page, you might get away with this with, like I say, a lot of the there's a load of different things that you can add here and play with. But if you feel as if you need a dedicated sort of landing page, then I would definitely use a communication site for that. So when you go to create a site, new SharePoint site, it'll give you two options, literally communication site, team site, and it's just like two sort of tiles that you can click on. That's the only two options that you will get. Let's just see if there's any other questions. But yeah, like I said, in hindsight, there's a lot of things to do within SharePoint that I've tried to kind of rattle through as quickly as possible, and I hope that you've all sort of gained something from it or answered maybe some questions in your head. But there is an argument to tailor this to your needs as well, and to what you're trying to do. So yeah, I would encourage us to reach out to the Grant McGregor team in general. You can reach my team, the Change team, at just change@grantmcgregor.co.uk, and we can set up sort of one-to-one sessions. Like I said, I'm quite happy to do it just one-to-one myself, so you can email me, or just generally speaking to the wider family at Grant McGregor, our service teams and things like that. So yeah, so you can. I've just seen another question here as well. I'll just quickly answer this before we wrap up. So yeah, you can create a draft on the landing page too. So while I'm still in here at the moment, if you're still just kind of not happy with the way, and you're just mucking about with things or changing things, you can just see at the top there. You can save it as a draft. And then really what it will be is when you come back into edit it there, you'll see you'll be back to where you were. So when you save it as a draft, you're not publishing it. So to actually make the change or submit the change, this is what this republish does here. So while it's in that sort of area, when it's in this sort of state, I suppose, you're still in an edit state until you click on republish there. So yeah, you can kind of play with it as much as you like before republishing it. So that probably wraps up things for just now. I'll let everyone go for at the moment. I do appreciate the extra time. If you did have to drop off for any reason and do anything while during this webinar, it is available again, and there will be a link coming out just when the recording's finished here. So you can click on that and rewatch this at any point, stop it at parts where you just need to get a better understanding. And yeah, like I said, see how you get with SharePoint, and hopefully this helps you utilize things just a little bit better. Have a good rest of the day.